Hey, Dan Coachimilli along with Eric Romo from NorCal Sports Network and Giants Sports Talk Live with breaking news. Just came out just a little bit ago that Commissioner Rob Manfred has reinstated the late, great Pete Rose and shoeless Joe Jackson, along with 7 others from the White Sox, that Black Sox scandal in the early 1900s World Series. But Eric, big news. I mean, Pete Rose finally reinstated. I think it's long overdue. What do you think?
I agree. Yeah, right. Come on. He's already passed, and I think we talked a little bit about it in the green room, right? It was a lifetime ban. Well, he circumvented the rules, right? He passed away, and now he's able to get into the Hall of Fame. I think you were looking up, right? They're going to be both individuals, both Shoeless Joe Jackson and the other 7 members of the Black Sox and Pete Rose will be eligible on the what is it in the what's it 2028
2028. I've got an article here that pulled up from ESPN, and it says let's see, 28 here. A quote from Manfred. He says, therefore I have concluded permanent ineligibility ends upon the passing of the disciplined individual, and Mr. Rose will be removed from the permanently ineligible list. Manfred's decision ends the ban that Rose accepted from then Commissioner A. Bartlett Giamatti in August 1989 following an MLB investigation that determined the 17-time All-Star had bet on games while managing the Cincinnati Reds. And, of course, Jackson and 7 other Chicago White Sox were banned from playing professional baseball in 1921 by Major League Baseball's first commissioner, Kennesaw Mountain Landis, for fixing the 1919 World Series. Yeah. Unbelievable. That's probably the biggest scandal maybe in the history of sports. I mean, you fixed the World Series. Basically,
that's huge, especially back in that day, Dan, because baseball was king. There
was no there was no NBA, there was no NFL.
Nope. It was all baseball. And, there's fantastic shows out there. I mean, Field of Dreams was based on Shoeless Joe Jackson. You got 8 Men Out. And then, of course, the great documentary by Ken Burns has a huge segment on the Black Sox scandal.
Yes,
it's incredible. Right. And look, some of these guys, you read some of with these guys, Happy Felch and who was the other guy? God, there was one guy who was just, these guys were low down, dirty scoundrels, man.
Oh, yeah.
They were, dude. They were.
Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you, whenever there's gambling involved, there's going to be trouble. Let me read this sentence real quick and I'll finish that thought. Jane Forbes Clark, chairman of the board of the Hall of Fame, said Manfred's decision will allow Rose, Jackson, and others to be considered by the Historical Overview Committee, which will develop the ballot of 8 names for the Classic Baseball Era Committee to vote on when it meets next in December 27. So that's your story on when he'd be eligible. I was thinking about this with the gambling.
Not all 7 of them are going to be.
I don't think any of them get in, but Jackson,
Shoeless
Joe, and maybe, and Pete. Hopefully Pete gets in. It was a shame he wasn't able to be reinstated while he was living to be able to enjoy the honor, but he accepted the lifetime ban, and lifetime means, I guess, his life, right? Not baseball's lifetime, but his individual lifetime. But you know what? This gambling thing is really rough because now that it's kind of legalized, and it was just the other day that Lance McCullers of the Astros pitched a really poor game, gave up 7 runs, and then he faces death threats and his children, 3 children. Somebody threatened him and his children, and it probably stems from somebody betting and losing the bet, and they're pissed off. And, this is where it leads. If you legalize gambling, you're going to have all kinds of things happening. But does this, Eric, open the door for guys like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens.
You're setting a precedent, right? You kind of are, whether or not, because they're in the committee now. So, and to be honest with you, Barry Bonds has not been quote unquote banned.
Nope.
I don't even think has Clemens.
Nobody's been banned. There's certain
they're
writers
ineligible because of it, right? Because of the
and it's mostly the old timers that are purists, and they, to me, I look at the Hall of Fame as a museum, and a museum is historical, and you should have everybody eligible. If you could have them inducted in the Hall of Fame, and you could say something that these players were part of an era of, a stain on baseball with the steroid era. But there's some people that are already in that got elected, that were involved in steroids, that were on that list. I think Big Papi was on that list. And, some of them, some of the players like Bagwell was, widely alleged or thought of to be on steroids. He's in. I just don't see how you can say, well, this guy isn't in and this guy is, based on what?
And when baseball looks the other way, right? Especially with what's his name before Manfred? How come I can't think of his name? Commissioner
Giamatti, and then
not Giamatti. What was Selig?
Oh, Bud Selig.
Come on, he knew what was going on.
Well, of course,
and he was looking the other way.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. You got someone who was the commissioner during where this was prevalent throughout the entire league, right? And now you're going to sit here and that's the issue I have with, it's you can't elect this guy into the Hall of Fame, and then you're keeping the guys who are making Bud a lot of money,
I just think they should, Bonds, most home runs in baseball history, not in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose, most hits in baseball history, not in the Hall of Fame. What kind of Hall of Fame museum is this if the top hitters of the game are not in there because they weren't pure?
You said it perfectly.
Pure? Who's pure?
Thank you, Dan. You said it perfectly. The Hall of Fame museum. You said it perfectly. These guys aren't punching a ticket into heaven. They're not. They're not being judged on that. Look, some of these players throughout the history of the game have been,
yes, every era has used something to their advantage.
You tell me today that Ty Cobb would have been elected in the Hall of Fame in the history that he's had? There's no way it would have happened.
Yeah, I mean, there's some word out there that people allege that Ty Cobb killed somebody,
murdered somebody. Yeah,
murdered somebody. Yeah, I mean, look, they're on the field for baseball entertainment. Look, when you go to a museum in Washington, D.C., they're lined up with historical museums. Some very terrible things that happened in our world's history.
Correct.
There are museums built on that. Not good, bad dudes like Adolf Hitler, but he's still part of in those museums. I'm not saying that, a lot of people say, well, these guys cheated and that's why their numbers are inflated. Well, you could take Barry Bonds, for example, prior to the steroid era, and the guy had Hall of Fame credentials already.
He did. There's no doubt about it. Right.
And yet were we not entertained when he was hitting those home runs, and McGwire and Sosa? Was not America glued to what these guys were doing, the home run chase of 98 between Sosa and McGwire, and then the 01 season when Bonds hit 73? I mean, gosh, people were loving it. And
they were.
I still remember the home run that Bonds hit in the World Series in Anaheim against the Angels, and you could read the lips of Tim Salmon, like, I've never seen a ball hit so far, something along those lines.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. But we loved it back then. And then I don't know. I just think.
And I think there's going to be people out there that's going to, is there a difference between PEDs and gambling. You know, there's that argument is going to be there because it's a
Yeah, I
little
get
bit
it.
different, right?
It
It's
is.
a little bit.
It is.
But to
It
your
really
point,
is.
what you said in the beginning, all major sports and baseball to be included has a huge gambling contingent, so to speak, right?
Right.
I mean, my gosh, it's prevalent. It's all over the place out there. And isn't it? If I'm not mistaken, in some stadiums you could bet right on the game right there in the
park.
Park.
There's kiosk and everything. Yeah, now it's just it's nuts. So I mean, and then you got your phone. You can. I was at a game a couple years ago at Oracle Park, and I'm doing in-game live betting. You know, like I'm just saying, hey, let's. They're down by 2. Let's see. I think they can lose less than 2, and you bet the live line, and you know you're watching it happen.
And you know, and it could be. Maybe Rob Manfred is going, you know what? We're looking a little bit hypocritical here because MLB is part of this. So, hey, yeah, you know what? For these guys, we can do this for the simple fact, well, they're all passed. So you kind of, you get around the lifetime ban. But additionally, we look like hypocrites. You know, they're banned because of gambling, but yet we got gambling all over the place. Yeah. Now the PED stuff, that may be a little bit different. I hear what you're saying.
PED could be. I know it's a stretch, but I'm basing it on the point of character rather than just.
That's fair.
You know, to me, the people of gambling, that's a character issue. Okay. I mean, they threw the games.
Right.
I mean, so if you're going to allow Shoeless Joe, who was involved in fixing games, then a guy who was just taking PEDs to enhance his performance, he's not, and he's facing pitchers that are taking PEDs.
Right.
You know, they're amped up, throwing harder and stronger.
There's a difference in doing something to want to win than doing something and wanting to lose, right?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, big time. So, you know, I think I applaud the move. I think it's great. I think it's long overdue. To me, Pete Rose, there's no evidence that he bet on his team to lose.
Right. Correct.
I mean, nothing's been presented that way.
Nothing has come about.
You know, he was trying to throw games as a manager, but you know, we'll see. Hopefully, he gets in, and Shoeless Joe. We'll see how that works out. I mean, Shoeless Joe. My goodness, 1919. Here we are, 2025. We're talking 106 years ago. There's probably, I could say with confidence, there's no one watching this video who will watch this video, and nobody who's alive today that saw Shoeless Joe Jackson play.
No.
That actually saw. There might be a couple people that were born, but they don't remember him playing.
Unless they saw him maybe he was playing in some type of farm league, you know, back in the 40s and the 50s. Well, he died at 51, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
That's not as an MLB player. That is
right.
Correct.
Right. So, well, guys, we hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please hit the like button and subscribe to each of our channels. I run NorCal Sports Network. Eric runs Giants Sports Talk Live. We're both from the Bay Area covering the San Francisco Giants, and we also cover anything big that happens in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
This was big news today, so we thought we'd combine and do a video together. So, check out our channels, like the video, subscribe to the video, make some comments.
Yeah.
We'll read your comments and try to respond to as many as possible. But again, guys, thanks for watching, and have yourself a great day. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care.
See ya.